Welcome back, all you movie lovers. Today we're going to talk about Prometheus, one of my favorite movies in the Alien franchise. So if you guys are ready, let's go. The Prometheus storyline starts out on a primordial planet which is Earth, depicting a religious-looking group sacrificing one of their own to start the evolutionary process. We can see a huge mothership in the distance. The visuals are amazing, as the aliens' DNA spills into the water. Personally, I think if the engineers had the technology to produce active DNA into an ecosystem, that there could have been a time-saving measure and just created humans and dropped them off. But I digress. Then we see the discovery of some cave art, depicting an invitation to another planet. That's an origin story, partly religious, partly science fiction. And it covers many religions. We can get into that story later in the video. So Wayland Corporation, one of the megacorporations on Earth, finances and embarks on a mission to LV-223. Not to be confused with the original Alien movie by Ridley Scott, that location took place on LV-426. Wow, these engineers sure crash land a lot. The ship's android is David, who controls and maintains the ship while the crew is in hypersleep. The ship Prometheus lands on the planet, discovering a series of structures, and embarks on their short journey to the oddly shaped pyramids. Upon entering the base, they discover it to be dark and almost skeletal in its construction. They begin to map the interior with DVs called pups, which relays the info back to the ship. Upon entering one of the many rooms of the ship, they discover thousands of canisters containing the infamous black goo. David retrieves one as a sample. They also discover that all the occupants of the ship have been dead for over 2,000 years. A storm approaches, leaving a few of the team members behind. As they sit there until the storm passes, they become infected by a snake-like creature that had been swimming in the black goo. Meanwhile, aboard the Prometheus, Dr. Holloway is starting to feel the effects of the black goo after David had put a drop of it in his drink, and Dr. Shaw is pregnant. The guys left behind on the alien ship return mutated with intent on killing anything that gets in their way. Dr. Holloway also shows up and get burned alive by Vickers. Dr. Shaw knows she is pregnant, so she using the lifeboat's automated surgical machine to perform a cesarean, and she leaves the octopus-looking alien in the machine. On a second trip back to the base, they discover that the ship was in fact on its way to Earth to destroy all life with the black goo, which had been weaponized. They also find a lone engineer still in his stasis chamber. They awaken him, but in his anger he tries to kill everyone. The engineer tries to take off, as Dr. Shaw scrambles on the surface. Dr. Shaw asks the captain to destroy the ship as Vickers launches an escape pod. Dramatically, the ship Prometheus crashes into the ship, causing it to crash back to the planet, killing Vickers in its wake. Dr. Shaw runs to the escape pod with the engineer at hot pursuit, but gets killed by Oedipus alien by smothering him and implanting a seed in its throat. Dr. Shaw and David leave the planet in another ship back to the engineer's homeworld. The closing scene is a blue alien emerging from the corpse of the engineer. So, that was the short and dirty narration of the movie. Hey, by the way, if you didn't already subscribe and hit the like button, now would be a great time to do it. It would help out a lot. Let's get into some questions about the movie. It seems they have left so many plot holes and have left us to our own speculation. One of the first theories we can discuss is the biblical nature of the movie. The engineers are represented in religious dogma as possible fallen angels or the Nephilim. The theory being that they are giants that fell from the sky. Another theory is that they took a human and trained him in the nature of the engineers and sent him back to Earth, and the Romans killed him on a cross. Do you get where I'm going with this? Therefore, that is a reason the engineers wanted to destroy all of humanity. Another theory that has been hashed around is that the engineers we saw in the first movie called Alien showed a much larger version of the engineers. The pilot seat was for a larger being. So the theory is that there is another species that designed the engineers to travel and add life to the universe. And finally, the artwork in the engineers' base almost depicts the xenomorph as a religious icon. Something that they hold in high regard and maybe even worship. And finally, this idea. The transportation of the life-giving black goo is portrayed as the last remnants of this alien race, that may have been the creators of the engineers as well. But the ravenous monster we see would just be the unevolved version of the most intelligent species, and the engineers are trying to resurrect this long extinct race. Pretty wild stuff, I think. What is your theory on the engineers' origins? It's all open at this point. So drop me a comment with your opinion on the origins of the engineers. I would really like to know. And as always, please hit the like button, subscribe, and get notified of any new videos I upload. Stay blessed and be kind, and may the Force be with you.